Right. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about batch processing, especially on the Guidewire billing part, especially when we are working on the integration part, all that. Because when we try to understand about the batch processing on a high level note, when we try to understand any kind of high volume tasks which are repetitive in groups when we are going any kind of schedule intervals and all that. So it majorly allows multiple transactions which are to be processed together without any user interaction so that it will be useful and as well as efficient for any kind of task or any kind of invoice generation or payment processing is much easier. In that regard, so when we try to understand about the batch processing, when we are working on the billing center, whatever the configuration that we do, even because when we try to understand this from the technical side, from the development side, both configuration, integration, these are two major activities we need to perform being into Guidewire development. So whenever there is any billing center based configurations that we are performing, right? So whatever the set of batch processes which can be scheduled to run and maintenance of tasks so that we can also run batch processes which are required. So when try to understand about this in billing center now, because this is a high level explanation I have given you about this, but now when we are trying to implement this in the billing center, first of all, we should understand formally what batch process is all about, right? First point is this. So first we must be knowing about what batch process is all about. Okay, what batch processing is all about is something that we need to know first. Batch processing usually is a process where which typically runs on the schedules basis to perform any kind of action or any kind of set of business objects that we wants to run with. Normally, these batch processes usually perform actions which are needed due to the passing of time. For example, if you are preparing any activity, right? So when we are performing any activity on Guidewire billing, so whatever the escalation batch processes identifies all the unescalated activities in the process of performing billing, so that that can open past the due date at the same time that can escalate those activities to the next level. But when you try to understand about the types of batch process are concerned, normally batch process types, because whenever we are working on every batch process, whatever the types that we are using, the kind of type list that we are using, for example, any batch process type for any kind of activity escalation, usually is of activities that we perform. At the same time, running the batch processes typically schedules to run on a recurring basis, such as, for example, any twice every hour or once in every month, all that. So this also can run on the demand. So when we are implementing any user interfaces or any kind of command line from any kind of SOAP API calls or SOAP API or cloud APIs, even that can be used here. So when we try to work on this from the developmental perspective, it is always important for us to how this can be configured and how this can be integrated, so that to make the application or the kind of process of scheduling the activities they are performing, that must be sorted out. So for that, this is really important, especially when we are working on the billing center.